Welcome to The Signal, podcast companion to the only intelligence report in men's health and performance that tells you what to watch, what to ignore, and why. I'm Andy Feltovich, founder and CEO. Every episode, we go deeper than the report. Longer conversations, harder questions, and the stories behind the data. We don't do bro science, we don't do wellness theater, we question everything except questioning. Every dogma on trial, guilty until proven innocent. If you're new here, The Signal is produced by Feltovich Fit, the flagship company of the Collegium of Order and Flow. Subscribe to the report at weaponizeresearch.com. And if this episode is worth 5 stars to you, leave a review. It's the single best thing that you can do to help us cut through the noise. Now let's get into it. Today we have Mike Panonne, currently founder and head instructor of CTT Solutions, that delivers best-in-class tactical instruction to military, law enforcement, and civilians. He is also a masterclass shooter in 3 different divisions. Prior to that, Mike had a career in the U.S. Marine Corps and Army that included membership in Marine Force Reconnaissance, U.S. Army Special Forces, and 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment-Delta. As always, this is for informational purposes only and is not medical or legal advice. Welcome, Mike. It's a great honor to have you today. I'd like to start off by talking about your military background. You are a member of not 1, but 3 elite military units: Marine Recon, Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets, and then Delta Force. So each of those units has a very rigorous assessment and selection process to even be considered to begin training and ultimately join those units. So tell us about those different assessment and selections that you went through. How are they similar? How are they different? And what was each unit looking for?
Oh, thanks for having me. The start at the beginning of my career, the reconnaissance, the selection process that I went through, we call it INDOC. It's just a really hard day. It's just a physically punishing day. See, what they're looking for, one, is just physical capability. Can you physically handle what they are going to expect you to do? Okay, like there's a price for jobs like that, and it's expensive. And you have to be fit. You have to be able to endure discomfort and fatigue and all that. So that's that. They're looking at that portion of it, and they're looking at the mental part that says, can I do this physically, and can I do it mentally? There are people that can do it physically, they can't do it mentally. At a certain point, they're like, "Hey, this isn't for me. I'm not here for this kind of work. Like, I'm not about this kind of smoke." And you'll see guys just drop out and go, "Nah, it's not for me." And so they're trying to push to a breaking point in order to see who breaks. It's the only way. I mean, it's like you look at it, and all of the selection processes have the same thing. It's like forging steel. You take iron, you get it really hot, and you hammer it. You forge it. And if it doesn't break, it becomes really hard steel. But right at the beginning, if it's not quality steel, it breaks. So it's like the pressure testing part is critical, because you can tell me how hard you are. Now show me. Okay. And there's no positive encouragement. It's all negative. It's all negative. So now you're pushing yourself while people are basically telling you, like, you're never going to make it. You're not good enough for this. Come on, just bail out. No shame. You can leave right now. Nobody will know. Like, it's a different kind of vibe. Now, when you look at Army Special Forces, there's a distinct personality and cognitive process. They want to see you solve problems. When you go through the course, it's difficult, but you're just a number. You're roster number 253, and that's it. You're not a name. You're not a rank, nothing. You're just a number. And there's a reason for that. They want you to recognize, to us, you're just a number. That's it. Like, you are literally nobody of consequence. And you go through the physical portion of, there's lots of movement, overland movement and navigation and all that, and culminates in the team week, which is a bunch of events. Like, one of them, they give you a Jeep trailer with only one wheel on it, and the other wheel is inside the Jeep trailer, and then a bunch of poles and ropes and all this. And you have to make a device to be able to pull that for, freaking kilometers on sandy roads. You have to push Jeeps like 10K on sandy roads. There's no, I mean, there's an engine, there's everything, but you can't start it. So there's a bunch of problems you have to solve while you're already smoked. And then they look at how you solve the problems and how you interact with the team. And when you're in charge, how do you act? And when you're not in charge, how do you act? So they're looking at a much broader spectrum of personality. And the reason is because you're going to have to go places. I went to, like, for instance, on a exercise, well, not an exercise, but a deployment we went to New Guinea, and we built the School of the Warrior, which is like their ranger school, right? So they just get a team together and go, you guys are going to New Guinea, you're going to build their ranger school. But, a bunch of us ranger qualified, got it. You get there with a $70,000 op fund and a concept. And like I'd say to people all the time, in SF, like, you're the handshake and smile guys. At the end of it, like, this is where you are. This is where we want you to go. How you get there is your business. At the end of it, we want handshakes and smiles. We want everybody happy. Go. And so now there's no map for it. There's no pathway. There's no you build it from the ground up, just you and 8, 10 other guys. So it's like, that's a whole different rationale for selection. It's not just physically getting you do it and then we'll program what you need, versus now it's very non-standard problem solving. And then when you go to SFOD, they look at it like intuitive intelligence. Are you smart enough? Are you confident enough? Can you process information rapidly under stress? It is a,
In terminology, what does OD mean?
what's that?
A terminology question. What does OD mean?
What do you mean? OD, when did
I thought you said when you go to OD.
OTC, operator training course.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I talk fast. When you
No
go
worries.
to operator training course, before operator training course, when you go to selection, they're looking for people that are trainable. They're looking for people that are obviously extremely physically fit and have a lot of fortitude. They're looking for intelligence. They're looking at the ability to follow instructions. There's a whole bunch of stuff they're looking at that is very personality and psychology driven. The physical the stuff is just freaking hard. It's just hard. Everybody, like, hard is hard. Got it. Now, can you be pushed to those limits and be expected to solve difficult mental problems while under extreme physical stress over a long period of time? It's not just this afternoon. It's weeks. And at the end of this, the culmination of it, you have to solve problems and do skill tasks under a tremendous amount of physical and psychological and emotional stress. And so it's like, that process picks a certain type of individual, a person that you can just drop somewhere and go, this is what we want it to look like in the end. Figure it out. And they literally are eager to do it. Like, oh, I got this. Like, you can do things, like, there's a certain personality it's almost an entrepreneurial one. Like, I can fix things. I can make things happen. I can figure out, I can connect things together that most people wouldn't connect together to find a solution that I've never seen before and then execute it. It's a very unique, and it's why that organization is, arguably the best of its kind in the world. It does things that people can't imagine. And when you're inside the machine, you realize even more how unbelievable it is. It is a 100% sourced organization that makes the impossible possible on a reg. Like, they do it all the time. And that's why it's like, it's each level set me up for the next level. Each level, when progressing, like, physically in reconnaissance, will you endure extreme physical hardship when people are trying to get you not to? They're trying to convince you that you don't want to. They want to find that little weakness and exploit it. Then you go to the SF side. They don't care. Like, whatever, dude, you make it, you don't make it, you're a number. They give you a bunch of problems and see how you think. They see how you interact when you're in charge, when you're not in charge, all that. And then go all the way to SFOD at the end when you go to Delta. And it's like, they're creating a distinct psychological profile of you. The physical profile is always easy to get. And then going, do we even want this guy? Like, we don't, and there's a saying there that's like, we're not looking for the best man at the job. We're looking for the best man for the job. And those are two different people. And so that profile that they look for, whatever it is, nobody knows what it is. Only, like, people in the puzzle palace know. But they're looking for someone that can be dropped anywhere with minimal guidance and be trusted to accomplish tasks that most people are intimidated by. And they're like, yeah, I got this. It's a group of people, the likes of which that really don't exist anywhere in the world. That collection in that small space.
Yes, maybe this is something I can ask GPT afterwards, just numerically how elite it is. But when you look at the numbers of the men who have served in Delta, it's
There've been more
Probably,
astronauts, bro.
yeah, astronauts, Olympic gold medalists.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
a very numerically elite group. So, as you know, I work with 40-plus-year-old executives, entrepreneurs, senior professionals, men who are building their own organizations,
Mhm.
managing their own teams. So, what's the takeaways from those assessment and selections? What are the keys to assessing what you need in your team, in your organization, and then going out and assessing and selecting for it?
I would say the creative problem solving part, intelligence and creative problem solving go hand in hand. People are not creative problem solvers who aren't intelligent, and but people who are intelligent aren't always creative problem solvers. So one requires the other. And then when you're looking at people, you're not looking at the flashy person per se. You are looking at someone that is quietly confident, and that you can hand anything and look at their demeanor, hand them any problem to solve, and they go, okay, and they'll look at it, and then they'll ask a couple competent questions, and go, okay, I can do that. There's a level of confidence that you need. Those people they're not selling themselves to you. They're not going, hey, I'm your guy. But they show them, say, you have this position I'm interested in, and then you do the interviewing and you make sure that they fit the requirements as far as intellectual and cognitive capability, emotional capability, and then you look at them relative to your organization. Go, does this girl fit? Do they fit here? Will they, are they capable of doing the job well? But nobody will like them, which means that they won't really be capable of doing the job well. Do they have the proper temperament? All that. So it's not just I would say, when I say hard skills, I mean definable skills. Can they do this particular job? Can they do the job within this organization and get along with everyone and be trusted to be competent and diligent and all that? So it is a more of a personality profile than an academic profile. Academic profiles are easier to get.
And that touches on culture, which we're going to discuss more of shortly. I want to talk about environment and mindset. So one of the pillars of my framework, screen, spirituality, cognition, recovery, environment, exercise, and nutrition. I like to talk, it addresses how we interact with environment and how our environment interacts with us. So let's talk about mindset and environment. As a Recon Marine, you had to operate in the jungle for weeks and months on end. And the unforgiving nature of the Pacific jungle was really brought home to me in Robert Lecky's excellent World War II memoir, Helmet for My Pillow, in which he spoke of the twin enemies of the Pacific, the jungle and the Jap. So how do you function in an environment when the environment itself changes everything you do, usually for the worse, usually making it harder? And when environment is a semi-permanent fixture and not just a temporary obstacle to be overcome.
Well, first of all, you have to learn to understand the environment. You have to know what it affords you, positive and negative, what's here, and then you learn how to manage those things based on what you do and equipment you have and all that. Okay. The next part is learning to endure. And that's something that's a fortitude you have. I want to do this job so much that I will endure whatever it takes to do it. And I want to take care of my teammates, a selflessness. Like I have to endure in order to make sure that I'm pulling my load in order to make it easier on that, because anybody that doesn't pull their load isn't useful. But in the jungle, there's a mentality, let's say a mentality more than a mindset. I take that from my buddy Matt at X-Ray Alpha. There's a mentality you have. It's like, this is part of the job I do. This is what I do. And I've said that to people before in different arduous circumstances, like, hey man, this is what we do, bro. Like, you better get used to it or you better find a new job. Nobody wants to hear you complain. Like, one time I was in the Arctic and there was a guy complaining the whole time. And I was like, you're a good guy, but constantly complaining. It's like, dude, is it not 20 below for me too? Like, I don't want to hear it. We're here to do a job. We do the job. Your comfort or discomfort is really immaterial. And so that's the mentality. You learn to go, it doesn't matter if I'm comfortable or uncomfortable. It doesn't matter that in the jungle, everything bites and stings and is poisonous and causes a rash and, has stiff prickers on it. Like, that's really a personal problem. You learn to endure it because the mentality you have is mission critical. Like the mission must be done. My comfort isn't planned into that. And so that's how you get past it. If you're constantly thinking about your own comfort, then you're not thinking about the mission and your teammates, and you're useless.
Goes back to mission men me.
Yeah.
The book I'm writing right now, the chapter on mindset and mental toughness, really abused, misunderstood term, and I tried to go back to the origins of it. And what you're talking about really goes back to the suffering, Job, the Old Testament, Moses trying to shepherd a bunch of complainers through the desert, and he cracks, right, and God tells him to coerce water from the rock, and instead he gets mad and he strikes the rock. And he doesn't get into the promised land. He said, no, you cracked under pressure. And then the Stoics later on had their what you're saying is very consistent also with what the Stoics said about endurance. It's the environment is how you interpreted it. The environment's just it doing what it does. It only becomes adverse when you interpret it as such.
I mean, you think of like Viktor Frankl, you assign value and meaning to things.
Yeah.
I decide what it means to me. And, if you decide that it means something really bad, then you'll believe that. You will always believe you. And if you say oh my God, this is terrible, then it's going to be terrible, whether it is or not, or to the magnitude that you believe it. And so there have been times in my life when I've been like, okay, this is bad, but it could have been worse. And I'm going to figure it out. And it's not easy. I mean, but it's one of those things that gives you a start point. It gives you hope. It replenishes that fortitude, that resilience. You're like, okay, the solution you're coming up with is, I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm going to find it, versus, holy shit, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I'm screwed. It's just, you never go anywhere with that. That negative mindset is a failure mindset.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up Viktor Frankl. I'm going to have to make sure I touch on him in the book. I'm never going to get the book written because I'm still stuck in the Stoics and the Old Testament, but that's an excellent point. After the military, tell us about the work you did as a military and civilian contractor and how that ultimately led to your current role, founder and head instructor at CTT Solutions. How did your diverse background and prior skill set prepare you for those roles?
I would say that the hard skills part of it, I had done most everything on that military side. I'd done, parachuting, static line, free fall, diving, demolitions, shooting. Was a sniper. Like I touched all the the blocks along the way. So I had a broad level of experience technically, and then I'd functioned at extremely high levels in the military. So it was kind of the combination of those two gave me a foundation that was very strong, and it was problem solving based, and it was independently confident and all that. And then having I tell people, having the triangle and the dagger on my resume, it always opened the door for me. It was up to me after that to be the guy that to be as advertised. But people always go, oh, he used to be there. And then they go, oh, and he was there and there too. We'll give him a viewing. Let's hear him. Let's see what he has to say. And then I would earn my spot from there. It's not the master key. It's not like, oh, you always get in if you have this on your resume. That's not it. People still want you to provide value. You still have to generate revenue one way or another. And so I came in and was able to speak to whatever, mission set was at hand and make it happen. And so when I left, I medically retired right before the war kicked off. I got a call in 2000 actually it was, December of 2001. An old sergeant major of mine was like, hey, we need guys, that can shoot and understand aircraft and tactics and stuff. We're going to help stand up the new air marshal program. Like, okay. So January 2nd, I took the shooting test and I was one of the first 10 guys hired, and we were standing up the new air marshal program. So I did that 2002 into 2003. 2003, I left for Iraq to do high risk protection, and did that in 03, 04. And then I changed, positions and I went to the asymmetric warfare group. It wasn't the asymmetric warfare group at the time. It was, the ID task force. And so I was there at the beginning when we went from ID task force to asymmetric warfare group. I was Like on the wall, they had all the names of people, the plank owners. I was number 10 on the top 10. So I was one of the first 10 guys when they stood up the asymmetric warfare group that was there. And so that was a big deal. Matter of fact, actually, I don't know if I have it up here. No, it's in another room, but you can't see it. It's up in the corner. My actual little flag with number 10 on it. When I left, they gave me a coin and a flag and all. But so I did the asymmetric warfare group. We did counter ID stuff and ground combat advising. And I was in the Anbar province because I was a Marine for my first 6 years. So that it made sense to be in Anbar as an Army guy, so to speak, a hybrid, working over there. So that was another thing. And I got experience. When I went over in 2004, I was the first project manager hired for Triple Canopy. So I helped stand up Triple Canopy. But before that, I helped stand up the Air Marshal program. When I went to the asymmetric warfare, when I went to ID Task Force, it became the asymmetric warfare group. I was one of the first 10 guys. I was helping stand that up. So the pattern is there. I've always been at the beginning, helping stand up organizations and businesses and stuff. So you learn a ton when you're trying to figure out, refine the mission set, what the assets are to do it, where your employment is most useful. All of that stuff was really like beneficial based on my past experience, because I could conduct complex operations. I knew how to do detailed planning. I knew how to forecast. And so my military background didn't necessarily directly relate to certain things I did on a 1-for-1, but the overall knowledge that I got from them and the experience that I got from them was incredibly useful. And then just starting my own business, I just found a niche in the market and filled it with common sense and experience, not smoking magic beans.
Yes, what you're describing is very similar to my entrepreneurial journey in the school system, which I learned late in life was complete BS. They reward you for how much you know, which I don't know, maybe that's great if you want to be on a professional Jeopardy contestant. But in the real world, they don't reward you for how much you know. They reward you for identifying the pain point, problem, and solving it, which it sounds like, as all your previous experience, especially Delta, you mentioned before that was excellent entrepreneurial training. It sounds like that really prepared you for your success in the business world.
Absolutely.
So,
it definitely is. I look at, we talk about scholastic, like I had a really good formal education, strangely enough. And I was an enlisted guy, obviously, the whole time, but I went to like prep school and boarding school and all that. I had 2 years of college when I came in. I had a really good formal education and it helped a lot, but it was very different. The education that I got was about applying knowledge, just using knowledge to solve problems, not knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And so the ability to do that is something that's lost. Now it's just memorize stuff. Memorized knowledge is information. It's not knowledge. Knowledge is, it is applicable information. And so there's a lot of people that go to school and they can recite all kinds of stuff and they can't solve a simple problem.
Yes.
And that's where it completely falls apart. The four, just real quick though, like when I talk about the four pillars of functional intelligence: objectivity, creativity, knowledge, and discipline. Those are the 4 legs on the stool. Okay. If you just have knowledge that's not applicable, memorized knowledge, you don't necessarily have objectivity, creativity, or discipline. And if you have objectivity, creativity, knowledge, and you don't have discipline, it falls apart. Like you need all 4. And they don't teach that in college.
Absolutely. I was thinking in a very similar vein, the 4 tiers of going from data to wisdom. So data, information, knowledge, wisdom. And we touched on knowledge, and I'd say wisdom is when knowing when not to do something. So the old joke is, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
Exactly.
And I think that ultimately comes from not just, that's the next step after knowledge, is having got that scar tissue. That's where ultimately wisdom comes in. So let's talk about the culture question. Culture, it's all the rage. I came from the business world. It's culture this, culture that. What the hell does the word even mean? The organizations that you've worked with, which ones had strong cultures? Which ones didn't? How do you build it, maintain it, and if you're not careful, lose it?
Okay. Culture, all the military units that I was in, the reconnaissance community, special forces, and SFOD and Delta, all had extremely strong cultures. And your culture comes from your standards, and your standards come from the top. And at the top, you have to adhere to those standards. It's, I say it as a way to make the point. It's leadership by example, not leadership by exemption. Like, I'm on the top, so I don't have to do that, but you do. That you will destroy a unit from the top down. It'll kill it. And so any corporate structure, any of that, you have to live the standards that you expect from the people that work for you. Okay. And so it's, if you want integrity and you want, you want fortitude, you want people to show up early and leave late, all of that stuff, you better be the first one in the office. You better be the last one leaving. You better interact respectfully with people, not demand people treat you like the king. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I've seen in the corporate world that has been absolutely terrible. And it's because people without left and right limits will act stupid and selfish and greedy and all the rest. And it's true. The military has limits. You can't do certain things. You can't treat people certain ways. There are standards, and standards without enforcement is nothing. There's no such thing as standards without enforcement. And so when you're in a corporate structure and you have people doing bad stuff, okay, and everybody sees it, but nobody can do anything about it, the resentment becomes a caustic cancer and will destroy the organization. Absolutely. And I've seen it. I watched it happen.
Let's talk about culture, what it meant for your personal development and performance. So when you were in organizations with strong cultures, what did that do for your personal development and performance? And then when you had to interact with weaker cultures, what did that do?
On the strong culture side, the benefit of that is that, done properly, those cultures teach you about selflessness and loyalty and fortitude and honesty and all that. You are judged by an entire organization, not the leadership of an organization. So when I was in reconnaissance, like, if you're weak and you suck at stuff, guys will let you know and be like, we don't want you. Like, you're here because they're making us take you. But if it were up to us, we'd have an empty locker. We wouldn't have you. Like, they'll tell you right to your face, and it's a little more polite, but it's the same thing in SF. And at Delta, it was corporate in the sense, like, you're not good. Like, you're a nice guy. The world's full of nice guys. You don't all belong here. So find a new job while it's still your idea. Like, nobody was like angry or anything. They're just like, dude, you're not, it's like, I tell people, it's like an NFL team. They would rather have an empty locker than have a locker filled with a guy that can't score points that they're paying. Like, we're just not, you're not a factor. You're a non-playable character. Like, we don't, and they do so well on the selection process that very few people get there. But I've seen people that get there and they're like, nah, this isn't for you, man. Like, you got to go. And so those ones, the standards and all that. The other side, I've worked in some private companies where it was just unscrupulous stuff that you saw. People asking you to lie to people that were working for you because they didn't want to look bad. And like, it was just, and I just left. I won't compromise my integrity for money. I won't. Because, the old adage, man, integrity is like virginity. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can act like it's back, but it's not. Like, it's just a matter of how much it takes for you to compromise your integrity again. And I left extraordinarily well-paying corporate job and just like, I'm out. Like, I don't trust you. I don't like you. I don't like the corporate culture, and I'm done. And truth be told, if I had stayed there and played the game, I would have been extraordinarily wealthy and all the rest. Wasn't worth it. I have to look in the mirror and go, hey, am I the guy that, like, I want my daughter to be proud of? Or am I just like every other dirtbag that sold out for the money?
Yeah, that's several things that you hit on there is separating the personal from the professional. It sounded like it was just very, very cold and forensic. It's nothing personal against you. It's just you're not. Yeah. We need guys who put points on the board, and you're not putting points on the board.
Yeah. It was not heartfelt. It wasn't like they weren't angry at you. Now, that said, in the final organization I was in, if you lied, cheated, or stole, they would drive the dagger into you harder than anybody else.
Because they gave you,
they gave you every bit of responsibility as a professional. You could go anywhere, do anything. Like, it's literally like you are 100% source. You say, hey, I really need this. They go, okay. If you say you really need this, I'm never going to question you. And the moment I have to question you, you're gone. And if you lie to me, if you misrepresent, like I said, no one will drive the dagger into you worse than that place. And they have to, because they can't compromise the organization and how it's structured for one guy that can't play by the rules, that knows all the rules and just is too smart by half. Just go, the big army might not be happy with you. We'll crush you because you're jeopardizing an institution that has done things that the world doesn't even understand yet. Honestly, it is that. And people say, "Oh, you're just, you're rah-rahing for your team." Yeah, I am, but it's provable. And a lot of crews that can roll up into Venezuela and grab a guy and come out like we did. Like it's different. Like, sorry, there's levels to this. And so in that kind of organization, there are no weak sisters. Nope. Like and there's no integrity violations, like anything. They don't care. You can screw up monumentally, okay, and still be there. You can lie about dumb stuff and you are gone, never to return. You're out, like disappear, like aliens abducted you. Go. So it's like, and that's because the standards are rigid and they are rigidly enforced.
Yes, that's a great insight. So the expectations proportional to the responsibilities. When we we write you blank checks to go off and do anything you want, there's a cost to that. There has to be a cost to that. That's a very interesting insight. I'm glad we got to touch on it. Your military career came to an abrupt end due to a traumatic injury. So first, let's talk about that. Tell us about that, how that happened.
We're doing rehearsals for recapturing down pilots, and it was a long story. We were supposed to fast rope into a certain area, and then it turns out there were wires there. So we went to another area and air landed where there was a bunch of like reeds and sand and stuff. So as I moved to the breach point, peeling the adhesive off my charge, now there's rotor wash, there's moisture. This is in Louisiana. So there's moisture, there's sand, there's moisture on the door. The charge stuck, and I paid out my firing line and fired it. But as I looked off, so I set it, identified it was there. I actually tapped my cover man on the leg, looked to the ground and fired it. It literally followed my vision and detonated on the way down. Every charge fell. I was just a little faster than some of the other guys, and mine fell as I was firing it versus prior to. Nobody else was injured. My buddy Greg wasn't injured. His head was literally right on my shoulder. I didn't get injured, but I had 64 fractures from the neck up, brain hemorrhage, and loss of my right eye.
Wow.
That's what cut it. That's what in a millisecond ended my dream career.
Yes, so 64 fractures, to put that in perspective, I think there's only 200 bones in the body. So, yeah.
Like this whole side, the whole orbit broke like safety glass, just shattered.
Yeah, that's well, it's a hell of an injury. Glad it wasn't worse. It sounds like it easily could have been. And one of the reasons I wanted to touch on that is there's a concept in mental health, and especially men's mental health, called getting zeroed out, and that takes a lot of forms: divorce, job loss, losing custody of your children, bankruptcy, and it's one of the most common reasons why men 40 to 60 actually kill themselves. So after that traumatic injury, like you've described it to me before, you were the elite, the best of the best, Delta, and went from that, and in a split second, you're a dying animal on the side of the road. How do you find meaning and purpose and move forward after something like that?
You have to find some way of bringing value to the world around you, not to you, but to something bigger than you. You have to find something bigger than yourself that is rewarding, that you feel makes your existence on this planet mean something more than just a guy that pays taxes. And that's something, the selflessness of military service actually points you in that direction, like to serve others, to do things that make a difference. And that's usually what the loss of self is a loss of purpose. What's the bigger, like, why am I doing this? What is it all about? What does it mean anymore? And guys that lose that, they start to fall into depression, and then you get booze and meds and, or illicit drugs. It downward spirals. And it's It's fitness. It's going to the gym and working out, even when you don't know why you're doing it. Like I'm not a commando anymore, but I still want to be fit. I still want people to look, and when they say, "Hey, he used to be one of those guys," they go, "Oh, that makes sense." Versus, really? Like you have to, the standards that made you who you were, you have to find a way to reinstitute them in your life. You have to find a sense of purpose and value that is directed at someone else, not you. I'm helping someone else with what I know, with what I have experienced, versus I'm helping someone else so I can benefit from it, first and foremost. The sense of purpose that is lost destroys guys.
I like that you brought up going to the gym and taking care of yourself, because I've always thought that I've always viewed strength and performance as a duty to God, your teammates,
Yep.
your investors, your family, yourself. So I just tell guys in my fitness business, I say, if you just want to look good at the beach, you're just here because your wife, your girlfriend made you do it, then no, I'm not your guy. And
No.
I kind of sensed that was the right approach, but what you just said kind of brought it home for me, is that you're serving others. You're not going to the gym for
Yeah.
yourself. It's you're building that service chassis so that you can fulfill your mission and purpose, serve others.
Yeah, there's a saying from I actually went to a military boarding school for only a year, but their like mantra or whatever, their motto was body, mind, spirit. The foundation was the body, and then the mind, and then the spirit is at the peak. That's the apex. You start, if you don't even know where you're going to go, your path is completely empty, unclear. I have no idea, which I lived that. I got in the gym. I just want to be able to physically function like I could before. Because I went from 205 pounds at just under 5'9", running sub 6-minute miles, to 141 pounds when I left the hospital. Could barely walk up 3 flights of stairs, missing half my face and my right eye, and my career that I spent a whole life building. Like I had everything stripped away from me. Everything that I defined myself with was taken from me. And God was like, "Hey, this is what you got. See what you can do with it." And it's like the first place I went was the gym. Just physically, just feel like I can just walk around without wheezing and being a weak, broken animal. It's like, that's the start point. It always is. And people say, "Oh, you're the gym guy, the gym centric." No. Yeah, I grew up physically. I wrestled, I played lacrosse, I played football, I did all, got it. But there's a logical reason behind. If your body is weak, your mind will always be weak. It will always be weak in one capacity or another. If your body is strong, by default, your brain will become stronger. It will be more confident. It will be more aggressive. It will be more willing to take risks. And that leads to the spirit side. The mind drives the spirit. It's that pyramid, body, mind, spirit. So it's like not eating good food expecting to be healthy. You have to eat good food to be healthy. You have to work your body for your brain and your spirit to be healthy. And I have an obligation. I have a wife. I have a daughter. I have friends that count on me. I want to be that guy that they go, "I can count on that guy. I can call him anytime, and he'll be there. He'll be on time, on target."
Yeah, there's going back to history. There's back to the ancient Greeks: sound mind, sound body. Every man between the ages of 20 and 60 was expected to be able to march in 15, 20 pounds of hoplite armor, maybe 60 pounds of gear altogether, 10, 15 miles, and fight. This is every man 20 to 60. And then the notion that you would not be fit, not be literate, not learn how to fight, it was just bizarre. And then 2,000 years of progress later, we consider it optional. So it's interesting interesting insight.
Here's something just sort of real quick, just 2 seconds. Nobody respects weakness. No man or woman, no child, no animal. Nobody respects weakness. And there's nothing worse. And I've said it before, a strong man unwilling to fight is even more shameful than a weak man who's just incapable of fighting. If you have the capability and you don't have the spirit, then you're even weaker than the guy that's just broken. He just got, he's missing a leg and he's all busted up. He literally can't fight. You're unwilling, and your lack of willingness is a weakness in your spirit that I have zero respect for.
Yeah. And I think when people are being honest with themselves, and whether they can articulate it whether they're willing to admit it or not. That it's almost like a spiny sense that you're never going to live up to your potential. People are always never going to view you in your best light, what you could be, your full potential. There's a lamentable trend in, let's talk about some actionable intel that our viewers can take away. There's a lamentable trend in corporations and other organizations to bring in motivational speakers or go on teamwork building retreats and then wonder why nothing ever changes. You said something to me about habituation and live hard to be hard mindset and how that translates across other disciplines. So could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's the mindset stuff. I'm really hard on that. I'm really hard on people that do that. It's I can't convince you to do something that you can't convince you to do first. And if that's the case, then really I'm just jabbering in front of you and you're paying me. The whole mindset thing. Mindset is a life you lead. You do hard things. You do arduous, difficult things. Okay? You can talk about deadlifting all you want and everything about it and all its benefits and how great it is. Hey, check it out, bro. You got to go in the gym and deadlift. And if you really deadlift, it's hard on your body. It's like you really push yourself and you're doing 1 rep maxes and all that. You're going to feel it. It's not necessarily fun per se. It's rewarding. And there's a big difference between fun and rewarding. Okay. Rewarding is long term. Fun is short, short dopamine hit. And so it's like these retreats and these mindset, the whole, Tony Robbins thing. I get it. And I know he makes a ton of money, but I'm like, I don't need you to drive me. I don't. I consider that a weakness. If you can't drive yourself, there's a famous saying from JFC Fuller, a man that needs to be driven is not worth the driving. Like, you have to drive yourself. No one will push me harder than I will push me. Nobody will. And never has. And that's why I succeeded at things that are considered pretty difficult, because I didn't need an outside source to go, come on, rah, rah, you can do it. I mean, before I went to every one of the 3 selection processes that I went to, every push-up I did, every pull-up I did, every mile I ran, it was running through my mind. I am doing this in furtherance of that objective. I lived, slept, drank, ate, everything was for that objective. And so it's like, that was a mentality that I had and a mindset that I had because I desired it, not because somebody told me I should. And the whole external stuff, the perpetuation of that is zero. We go to a retreat and you get to rappel and it's a little scary and you get to talk about it. And a week later, you're back at the office doing the same stuff. You're no different because there's no perpetuation of that. You have to do hard things. You have to do things that are uncomfortable. Guess what? If you don't like people touching you, like you're just kind of freaked out, people touch, guess what you need to do? You need to go do jujitsu. You need to get on a mat where people are on top of you, grabbing you, that are forcing you to deal with that weakness. That's going to change your mindset, your mentality. You're going to break away from that fear. You're not going to get it from talk. I just posted a thing about it. Like, you want to get mindset, go in a boxing ring, get punched in the face a couple times. You go, wow, this sucks. I don't want to get punched in the face anymore. I better learn how to do this. And in the process of learning how to do this, I'm going to get punched in the face a couple times. Pick whatever venue you want, whatever difficulty. You want to run a marathon. You're terrible at running. Guess what? The first mile you run, you feel like you're going to die. Go, wow, but I want to run a marathon. And so guess what? If I run, walk for a mile, that's the beginning of getting to a marathon. Not starting is the beginning of nothing. And it's weakness and it ends in failure and it ends in self-loathing and it's sad.
Yeah. So part of the mindset and the mental toughness section of my book talks about Aristotle and habituation. And it sounds like you had a very Aristotelian approach to that. And it also helped me with my kind of put words to what I intuitively thought. I used to, when I got into health and fitness and men's health and performance, I used to try to lecture people about how they needed to exercise and talked about sarcopenia and the dangers of age-related muscle loss. And it was just totally soul draining. And I was like, screw that. I'll answer questions if you need to sign, if you're curious about these things. But now I just work with men who are already doing the work. They just need my expertise to remove cognitive
Guidance.
and logistical friction. And I'm just a much happier guide, and you help me put
Mm.
words to it. I don't, any buddy who needs driven is not worth the driving.
I'll help you, but only after you help yourself.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here to like for your actualization. If I have knowledge that can help you, you're already working. Go, hey man, try this. Maybe you can do that. Then I'll help you. But I'm not going to help you more than you're going to help you. Like I'll match you, but I'm not going to put more investment in you than you put in you. And when you show up, when I see guys that are super dedicated to whatever it is that we're doing, I'm struggling to make sure that I give them, that I match energy for energy, because they're giving me everything. And the expectation and responsibility is that I will do the same. And I am obligated to do the same if I'm a professional and I have integrity. And I love it. I love it. I love when guys question me. And they go, hey, what about this? I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. It makes me validate what I'm doing in a logical manner. And it also puts me in a position sometimes, hopefully not too often, but where I go, you know what? That's a damn good point. You're right. And I'll be the first one to say it. I am emotionally connected to the best solution, not my solution. I'm trying to find all the best solutions and make them mine. But if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to go, yep, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. And if that is the control of your ego, and it's like that part of it is like comes from working with people that want to learn, that want to progress, that want to question things, they want to know, which they should. And so that like they're great to work with. People that just stand there and I got to try and drag them along, I'm out. I have zero for that. I don't train anybody like that anymore. I don't.
That's interesting. So something that's been true in all my life is, and I could never really put words to it until we had this conversation, is when you're willing to travel the ends of the earth to find the greatest teacher will show up at your door. And it's always been true for me. Because I've been blessed with great teachers, including you. I've trained with you, CTT Solutions, several times now. And there's just that almost gravitational pull. Great teachers and great students just attract each other. And it always worked out for me, and I could never put words to it until now.
There we go.
Absolutely.
It's just I gravitate towards people that are serious about what they're doing because I'm serious about what I'm doing. And so if you show up and you're there for the shake and bake feel good thing, I'm not your guy. Like I'm not going to tell there was stories. I barely even introduce myself when I teach class. I'm like, hey, I'm Mike, was a Marine for a while, Army guy, this and that, I'm Yvette's husband. I'm Kayla's dad. Let's go. Like, dude, I'll show you who I am. You'll know who I am by what I say and what I do and how I demonstrate things and all that. The rest of it, self-aggrandizing chatter. Not interested. Everybody, like all the people that matter to me, regardless of how well I know them, they know who I am and they know who I'm not. And that's that. The rest of it is who are you right now? Let me show you who I am right now, not who I was in another life or in a cool guy club over here, whatever. And I think some people rely too heavily on a resume or a bio. And it's like, when I show up at a class, one of my buddies, we were talking one time about it. He's like, hey man, I don't understand why guys do the big, I did this and I did this and I did this. It's like, you already got the job, bro. Show them what they came for. It's like, bingo.
Which great segue into my next question. Another actionable intel item. So men in the audience who aspire to excellence, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
A focused goal. What do you want to do with specificity? I want to do this. It doesn't matter what the goal is. It doesn't. Achieving a difficult goal. You want to deadlift 450. You want to, be a marathon runner. You want to be in reconnaissance or SF or a SEAL or a Ranger. You pick something. Pick something that is very definable and difficult, and then achieve it. That will be the beginning of a life of achievement. You did something really hard. And if it is the beginning of a life of achievement, it's because you stopped valuing that. Find something that's hard and do it. And the more you get accustomed to doing hard things, honestly, the more achievement you have and the more fun it becomes, even though you understand it's difficult. There's hardship in it. You know the payoff's at the end. It's like investing. The big money's on the back end, not the front end. Short money is temporary money. The long money is on the backside of the investment. And that takes a lot of risk, but you have to do it. And so pick a goal that is definable and difficult, put a timeline on it and go.
So there's a lot of, going back to my book, we're learning a lot about neuroscience. So a lot of the concepts that go back to the Old Testament and Aristotle, we're now actually matching biochemistry to it and neuroscience to it. And one of the insights that we've gleaned from that research is that you have to see and feel the goal first to make it possible, because until you can see and feel the goal very viscerally, your brain literally cannot channel the information, the sensory input that it needs to navigate towards that goal. So when you actually viscerally see and feel the goal, then your brain starts to filter for the people, for the network, for the resources that it can, that it needs to get to that goal. Has that been that? So when you were Delta Recon, when you were doing all those push-ups and pull-ups in furtherance of that goal, could you smell the seawater in the jungle?
Oh yeah, I could see it. I could see myself there. I could see in my mind's eye. I could see myself there, and as one of them. Like I was in my mind, I was like, I'm going to be that guy in that picture standing next to that helicopter, or on the deck of that submarine getting ready to launch a boat. I will be that guy. Like there will be a picture of me just like that, and I could see it in my mind's eye. Like it's going to be great. I know it's going to take a lot, but that I will be there. I'll be that guy.
Where your mind goes, your ass flows.
Absolutely. You can't achieve you can't have an achievement that you, one, can't see because it's not definable, and two, you have to believe it. You have to go, no, I can do this. I'm going to be that guy. Like there's nothing stopping me. And if nothing else, you can look around and go, thousands have gone before me and succeeded. Why am I not capable of it? It's all fortitude. It's like desire and discipline and fortitude, endurance, but it's there for you. You just have to want that. And that's what, guys, back to what you said, you have to a definable goal that's difficult, that has a timeline, and you have to truly, in your soul, you have to want it as much as anything else. You have to desire it, and you'll get there. The world is, there's replete with stories of people that have achieved amazing things. My wife just showed me a woman like 85 years old that did a freaking Ironman. Why? Because she wanted to. She decided she was going to succeed and she was going to cross the finish line, and she did.
Yeah. Great advice to guys like me on their entrepreneurial journeys and trying to get their podcast and media empire up off the ground, which you're a great help with, by the way. It's a great stepping stone. And going back to service and giving back, you've done a lot of work with the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation. I'd like to give you a chance to discuss that important work along with the meaning of your company logo for CTT Solutions.
All right. On the Marine Reconnaissance, I actually have the shirt on. Marine Reconnaissance Foundation, it's a 501c3, whatever. We help the families of and or injured reconnaissance Marines and SARCs, Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsmen. If people get injured, the families of those killed, trying to help kids go to college, all of that. It is an organization that is driven by our loyalty to the group that we were with and the people that we serve with that are, not necessarily being taken care of as well by the government as they should. Every one of us is completely pro bono. Nobody gets a paycheck. No one gets paid a dime. We do this because we believe in what we're doing. Every dollar that people donate goes to those families. It goes to the people that you think you're helping. Every dollar goes to them. There's no operating expense, none of that. And so that's why I like it. I see a lot of foundations where you've got a nonprofit where guys are getting $250,000 a year or $300,000 a year salaries for a nonprofit. Ours is a nonprofit for real. Like when you think nonprofit, yeah, nobody takes salary, but we do all kinds of great events, support the, what do you call it? The Recon Challenge, which is like a best ranger competition, but for reconnaissance guys. There's a lot of things that we support: injured recon guys and SARCs, families of guys that were lost. But we do it by bringing awareness to how special that organization is and how much sacrifice comes with being there. And we make every effort to interact with people that donate, so they say, "Hey, we're regular guys. We're your sons and your neighbors, your brothers. We're regular guys. We did a unique job, and we sacrificed a lot to do it, but we want people to understand. We want to humanize it, so it's not like something you watch on YouTube. It's like, no, I actually know those guys, and they're good guys, and what they're doing is helping people in need. And so that's why, like, I'm the team leader of the shooting team. We're just trying to bring awareness, show people, hey, this is me on our shooting journey, but you see who we are by our actions, not just by our jabber.
So that's important. If people want to donate their hard-earned money to a good cause, one of the metrics we look at is the pass-through ratio.
Yeah.
So how much of the money that you give them to in furtherance of this worthy cause actually goes to that in furtherance of that worthy cause, and not one of these palatial, not-for-profit headquarters that I've seen. So that's a good thing to know for people who are looking to do some good in the world. We're coming up on time. This is fascinating. I could be here for days, but fortunately, all good things have to come through an end. So on to the lightning round. What's the one fad, gimmick, or trend you'd like to see go away?
Wow. I hate to say it, but the mindset, the pop culture mindset thing, where everybody gives a little briefing, a rah-rah briefing and all that. It does a disservice because it takes people's money, wastes their time, and they still didn't do the work. Like, you got to find that in you. You have to do things that earn a mindset and a mentality of success. It is in the corporate world, it's a waste of money. It's fleecing, but it checks a block, I guess. But at the individual level, which is what I care about, you're not getting anything from it. They're serving you soda and telling you it's a protein drink. You get nothing. So just go do hard stuff.
Amen. What's the one book that everyone should read?
The Bible. Every story in there is about life. It's the guidebook. You can look at it. I studied in boarding school I had to take multiple semesters of it as a literary document and as a religious document. And so, like, there's nothing new under the sun. Like, everything you need to know about how to live life, if you truly read the Bible, is in the Bible.
Amen. And if you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell him?
Don't waste a minute. Don't waste a single minute. Time goes way faster than you think. Don't be in a hurry to get married. And I don't mean wait until you're, 45, but don't be in a hurry to get married in your 20s. As a guy in a career like I was in, just dedicate work. There'll be time for that. Dedicate to work. You don't realize how fast it goes, and you don't realize that the clock runs different for everybody. And everything made sense, and bang, one breaching charge later, and I was just some guy with a busted up face in Starbucks, starting my entire life all over again.
Amen.
So do not waste a minute. Don't waste a minute. It's your most scarce resource, and you never know when the clock ends.
Yeah, that's an invaluable advice for a lot of our younger guys. They don't realize that men have that longer investment horizon, and they don't need to be in a hurry. Final takeaways and closing comments. The listener who wants to connect, learn more, where can they find you? Social media, websites?
Yeah, on social media, I'm on Instagram, CTT Solutions LLC. And you just DM me. I respond to just about every DM, unless it's somebody being a jackass. I respond to DMs. I'll interact with people. I call people and talk to them. On the website, you can get on the website, cttsolutions.com. You can shoot a message and I'll respond to your message. So it's like, I'm accessible, and I make it a point to be accessible. That's, to me, I have generated things, whether they're work or friendships, either one, that or just because I took the time to answer a question that other people didn't take the time to answer. It's, you know, it doesn't cost any extra to be a good guy. It gets really expensive being a jackass. So be a good guy.
Amen. And I can personally vouch for the training at CTT Solutions. I've had the honor to train with you several times. It is best in class. I don't say that lightly. So if you're if you're interested in any of the courses that you offer, shooting, etc., then definitely come with my unconditional 100% endorsement.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime. Mike, it's been an honor having you today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Take care. God bless.
Bye.